to MMA al dente. I am the guy who always clips his toenails when they're getting a little long. Why the fuck would you even suggest that I don't do that? That's crazy. Anyway, I'm here to talk about Azamat Bekoev taking on Zachary Reese. I'm really here to talk about Bekoev because he's the newcomer. And he's also the guy that I'm predicting wins this fight. I don't have a firm prediction. I guess I'll go with him winning by round 3 disqualification. How's that for you? Now, look, in general, I just give him the edge, but it's nothing firm, and there's going to be no bet on this one. No major bet anyway, not on the money line. Of course, I'll go reaching for props with my life savings like a jerk off. But in general, I'm picking him because he's earned my trust. His record is undeniable, where Zachary Reese's still leaves a lot of questions. Zachary Reese, the main question I have, of course, is what's he going to look like in a competitive fight that goes past round 1? A competitive fight. Because he did beat Jose Medina by a decision, which was a good look for him. But Jose Medina, as tough as he is, and he's tough as all fuck, he's at the bottom of the UFC. And winning a fight in cruise control against him doesn't really tell me all that much about you as a fighter. So good look, but doesn't say everything. His record, other than that, is filled with round 1 destructions. Round 1 destructions. And that's what I have to look to as Zachary Reese, who he is and what he's going to be bringing. On top of all that, he's got physicality and size in this fight, as he probably does in most matchups. But he's a lot bigger and a lot longer. I think he's got 5 inches of reach, maybe even height as well. And he's probably got some weight on him once they're in the octagon, too. So he's definitely got physical advantages, and he's a round 1 monster on paper, which makes me look to the durability of Bekoev. And even though I've seen him hurt a bunch and dropped even more than that, where he wasn't so hurt, I have to say I trust the durability of Bekoev. He's only ever been finished once. Let me look to his record here. You see he's 18-3. I forgot you can see the fucking screen. Here are his 3 losses. The last one was 3.5 years ago, against this guy, Rafael Haratic. And that's the one loss in which he was finished. It was a 3rd-round scarf hold, which is a fucking Alexei Oleinik type of bear hug submission. And that was a comeback. He was in cruise control himself, winning that fight. And then in round 3, the tables turned with a big knee. He got hit with a counter knee, stood tall, but he was still hurt. And he tried to fight out of it, but he ended up getting chased and tagged and taken down, and he never really recovered. And a minute or so later, he was on the ground getting choked in a scarf hold. Is that a choke? I don't know. Anyway, that's the worst he's been hurt, presumably, but I've seen him hit with some other big shit. Lucas Fernando, in one of his more recent LFA fights, got him with a big flying knee, and then I ended up mounting him. But he survived, weathered the storm, and reclaimed control of the fight. I believe it was this guy Gasanov right here. I'll highlight it like fucking John Madden or whatever. He hit him with a front kick, I believe, that had him badly hurt, and ultimately probably won the guy the fight. But again, for the front kick, the knee, the flying knee, he's never been knocked out. He seems to have a decent chin on him, and his recovery has been there for him. In that fight against Gasanov, I know he recovered, but I believe he was the last man standing, the one pushing the action in the 15th minute of that fight. Both split decisions he had here. They were close, and they could have gone either way, but I kind of think the decision went the right way both times. But yeah, looking to how he's going to withstand the danger, I think he can take it. He did have a fight with Dylan Butka 2 years ago, where Dylan Butka dropped him a few times, and he's been dropped in plenty of other fights too. But the instances I mentioned with the front kicks and the flying knees, well, those were the big moments where I think his chin was tested more than anything, and I think he's got a damn good chin on him. Although I'll admit getting dropped by momentum and tripping and whatever isn't a good look anyway. All those other times he was dropped, they add up on the scorecards. So he's definitely got to stay on his feet. But yeah, he's been on a winning streak in the LFA, championship fights. Lucas Fernando and Dylan Bucko, of course, is now in the UFC. I think he's still in the UFC. Actually, I think he was released like 2 days ago, but whatever. Best of luck, Dylan. Either way, he's got a much more trustworthy record, going 5 rounds, weathering storms. His last one was a nice second-round knockout. He does have finishes down the stretch, of course, with such a deep record. There's just a lot more to trust with Azamat Bekoev. And he's a well-rounded guy, too. He's sharp on the feet. He's got more submissions than he does knockouts, but the way things are trending when you start fighting better athletes and they're more difficult to wrangle to the mat and the rest of it, the submission game may not be as dominant as it once was for him. But he's still got a very pretty record. He's in his prime at 29, just like Zachary Reese is. And I just have a little more faith in Bekoev. The fact that he stepped up to take this fight means he's in somewhat decent shape. I'm assuming it's not tip-top shape like Zachary Reese, but again, Zachary Reese is the one who I have questions about down the stretch. So maybe that's a disadvantage of his that's mitigated by the short notice or something, but it's definitely not something I could say is an advantage for Zachary Reese. And look, Zachary Reese was beaten once, and it was a slam knockout to Cody Brundage. I'm not going to call it a fluke or whatever, but I'll say slams happen here and there, and I'm not going to say it's indicative of any real weakness of Zachary Reese. So there's a lot of question marks on that side with him too. There's a lot of potential with Zachary. But I'm taking Azamat Bekoev to weather a storm from Zachary Reese early. I think Reese, with his physical traits, and I know he's got skills in every direction, even though he's got fewer fights and whatever, he's definitely developing, and he's so far looked pretty damn good in the UFC, albeit getting knocked out by a slam wasn't great. But still, I think he will have success early, but I think Bekoev will stand tall. And then in rounds 2 and 3, I just think Bekoev's the cleaner fighter. I don't know if Zachary Reese is going to be able to fight cleanly, kickboxing comfortably in rounds 2 and 3. And I don't know, certainly if Bekoev's able to get on top of him, I don't know how he's going to look, especially down the stretch. I would think that's Zachary Reese's weakest area, being Mr. Physicality there. And even in a dominant position, Zachary Reese. I'm sure he can handle dominant positions. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if he's going to be slipping like he wasn't against Jose Medina with Azamat Bekoev, who's a much more skilled fighter and can handle himself in every position. So I think this one will be close early. Maybe Zachary Reese even bullying him, but then I've just got Bekoev taking over and being the cleaner fighter. And again, this is all just based on speculation and hearsay and fucking shot in the dark horse shit. Because, again, I don't know what Zachary Reese is going to look like. But I'm taking Bekoev because he's got the prettier record and the more trustworthy record. I haven't bet on him. He's inside 2-1 odds now, minus one something, 190 fuck. So that's a nice small number for somebody that's got such a great record, but there's too many question marks going in every different direction for me to place a bet on this. This is just one where I'm going to be playing some sprinkles on some long shots and putting my life savings down the fucking drain. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.